Hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond BMR. And of course, I am your host, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. Thanks for everybody for coming on in. Joining me in Studio B, as always, from Missouri, the lovely Krista from the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. Beyond BMR goes beyond the mysteries of the world. We take you down a deep dive into all the different realms, realities, and rabbit holes. From Bigfoot to Dogman, UFOs to aliens, time travel to the paranormal. How do all of these phenomenon come together? If this is your first time here, the Super Chat is open. The Super Chat's a great way to help support what we do around here. Your donations are greatly appreciated. You can find us on Spreaker Radio, iHeartRadio, wherever podcasts are found, including KPNL Radio with the lovely Selene out in Texas. With that being said, as I said, we have a great show. Sybilla Irwin, great friend of mine. She's an artist. A lot of you know her from Sketching Encounters. I've had her on before. And we've got a couple of sketches, some encounters with Sybilla. And towards the end of the show, as promised, for the first time in 5 years, I will be unveiling my Bigfoot encounter, both renditions by Sybilla. With that being said, don't forget on Mondays is Texas Front Porch, 7 Central, 8 in the East. Tuesday, Beyond BMR comes on 8 Central, 9 in the East. Wednesdays is the Diva Dimension, 9 Central, 10 in the East, found on Texas Front Porch. Thursday is right back here with Rob and Tex. Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, 12 Central, 1 in the East. Thursday nights, the Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast. Check them out, 8 Central, 9 in the East. If you need a little more woo with the booze, they come on Friday night. The Blondes, the Booze, the Woo, 8 Central, 9 in East. And Tex has been doing something called Infamous Minds. And Infamous Minds is true crime. That's on Saturdays on Texas Front Porch, 3 o'clock in the East. Don't forget my book. I pinned the link up top, and it's in this video. For those of you that have bought my book, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1. I thank you for that. I do appreciate that. When Amazon comes calling, please leave a review. It does help the analytics. It's all analytics these days. So analytics is a big thing to help promote sales, and I do appreciate all of you. Super chats are open. Super thanks are open. With that being said, I'm going to bring up the lovely Krista.
Hey,
what's going on?
Been excited for this show. Been a long time in the waiting.
Man, this has been a long time in the waiting. You know, I had my Bigfoot encounter in 2018, and every time I tell the encounter, let's say you have 100 people, you can tell a story or try to describe something to somebody. Right. And I know that all 100 people that are listening or watching, everybody has a different rendition. So for me, over the last 5 years, it's always been frustrating because I do an okay job of describing it, but until you've been there and seen it, no one really knows. Right. And I will say, I met Sybilla Irwin a couple of years ago, and we hit it off, became fast friends. And I've had her on one other time, I think last year, and showed a lot of her renditions from people she's come across in the Bigfoot, the cryptid world. And she brings their story to life. And before we get to mine, everybody, we're doing mine, but she's got a couple other renditions that we're going to start to show off with, which are fascinating.
I'm excited.
I'm excited for this show. Thanks for everybody for coming in. And with that being said, I'm going to make sure Sybilla is ready. 3, 2, 1. Hey there. Can you hear me? Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Can you hear us, Sybilla? You're muted.
No, she's not. Not on this side. Oh, there she
is.
I can hear you.
Okay. Well, I can hear you now. We might be on a little delay, which is no. You just answered right after I spoke, so we will just.
Yes, I can hear you. And it says I'm backstage.
Okay, now you're up front here.
Yep.
So everything's good. We can hear you now, and I think you're up to speed now.
It says I'm backstage.
It says you're backstage.
That's weird.
It shouldn't say you're backstage because you are. Everybody can see you. Well, there she goes. Well, she fixes that. Well, she's still here.
Maybe she needs to go out and try to come back in and get a better connection.
You know, I'm going to. Yeah, she just removed herself.
Okay. Yeah, Brandy just said she's lagging. I think she was lagging quite a bit.
She's lagging, so hopefully she'll reconnect and we'll get it better because it would be unfortunate. I've been waiting for this show for a while.
Me too. And here's the deal, though. For some reason, we could always do it via phone.
Well, we got the pictures. Well, I have the renditions. Well, we'll see. I'm gonna bring her up now. She should be on the stage.
Can y'all hear me?
We go. Yep.
Yes.
Talk again. Okay, I think she's
Hello.
close. Okay, I think you're closer. What would
Hello.
Okay. Well, we're going to try this right now. And Sybilla. It still must be lagging.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, see, that was about a 10-minute delay. 10 seconds.
Yeah, y'all can't hear me?
Yes, no? We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Wow.
I'm texting you right now. You're on a delay. So, well, anyway, Sybilla, why don't we let you start talking? Maybe it'll work its way out. For the people that don't know about you, why don't you give us a little background on what you do in the cryptid community, talk a little bit about your artwork, and then we'll get on with it. Okay. Well, that's live radio here.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
She's gonna restart.
Okay.
No, I'm gonna call you.
Weird.
Restart your router. Restart your router.
Guys, I can just get off and try to restart my router. And
yes.
See if
that might help.
Give me a. Yeah. I can restart my router.
Yes. Do that. And we will.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Well,
yeah, that'll probably help. That'll take her maybe 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, there'll be 5 or 10 minutes. Again,
she'll be back, guys. So stay tuned.
So she didn't. Well, yeah, it happens live radio. Of course, it come on.
She could have a storm or anything going on too.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure it out. Worst case scenario, I can have her maybe try her phone. I don't know what type of phone she has, but with that being said,
yeah, we'll make it work.
We'll make it work. And so, since we're killing a little time here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put out something that we're going to have going on here regarding the Alabama Bigfoot Conference really quick to fill just a little time. So I don't want to get in any of these stories without Sybilla.
Right.
And so for everybody, we have this event. I know it's early, everybody, and no one's thinking about conferences during Christmas, but just a little early advertisement, June 7th and 8th. We're doing an Alabama Bigfoot Conference, Anniston Performing Arts Center. Tickets are now on sale, $30 online, $35 at the door. Tex will be the host. Our speakers are Bart Nunley, Daryl Denton, the Blondes and the Booze, Jason McLean, Greg Ogles, Martin Groves, and of course yours truly. So that will be kicking off in June. Thanks to everybody for in advance if you want to show up. They're always good times, Krista.
Oh, heck yeah. And anybody wants to go to the dinner, that's a little different too that they're doing. And that'll be Friday night. So all you got to do is register for the dinner and meet us at the restaurant. And we just need a head count. You're responsible for your own meal. However, just come hang with us. And all you got to do when you buy your tickets, register that you're coming to the dinner and come and have dinner with all of us.
Yeah, those are always great times. What I love most, couple conferences I've been to is meeting like the people in chat. You always try to put a name to the face, and you meet them like, and I am so and so. I'm like, oh wow, great to meet you. I like that a lot. Meeting all the new people. Mm-hmm. And for those of us just coming on in, Sybilla has some technical issues. She's rerouting or resetting her router, I should say. Yep. So she'll be joining us shortly. So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. That'll be a fun time.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this conference too, because it's like all my friends are going to be there.
Yeah, let's meeting with friends, new friends, old friends, and meeting, of course, people for the very first time. I always get a big kick out of. I enjoy it thoroughly.
Right, and I got to say too, Anniston, Alabama, where the conference is held, like it's really, really pretty. You can see the mountains and it's a nice area, I think.
I was in Anniston. Yeah, we did the first Alabama conference I went to was just outside of Anniston, I believe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, what I liked about Alabama is very pretty. I went up in the hills, the mountain. Well, excuse me. I made the mistake to call them mountains, and people that and everybody who lives in mountainous states say Alabama. Those are just big hills, right? So
Technically, it is part of the Appalachians. We
it
Googled it. Me
technically
and
is.
Brandy did.
No, I call them mountains. I'm not going to
Yep.
say that they're not. They're not at the greatest elevation as
No.
parts of the Appalachians, but
Right.
I will call them mountains. I'm not going to
Yeah.
to slam the great state of Alabama, because I tell you what, I liked it. I thought, man, that'd be
I
a
do
nice
too.
place to live. Very pretty.
Yeah. It is a nice place to live. Real quick, Gary, Spike says he bought the tickets but didn't give him the option to register for the dinner. Thanks for pointing that out, Gary. I will let Tex or Randy know about that, and maybe that's a glitch. So, but we'll put you down for dinner.
Well, the lovely Sybilla is back, and we're
Back.
going to pull her up and see.
Let's try this. Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Yay!
Guys.
Oh, it seems like very good. Say something again really quickly now.
Now.
Oh, good. Hey, there we.
Perfect.
That was only 2 seconds off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Sybilla, let's just get on with this, and because I want to maintain you while I got you, because we got a lot to unpack here. Not only my encounter, but I want, before we get into mine and my Bigfoot rendition, let's get into some that you sent me. So before we do that, why don't you tell all the lovely people in the audience a little bit about yourself?
So I'm a wildlife artist to start, and a special education teacher for 10 years. And then I started doing research with the BFRO in 2008. I became an investigator. And that's also when I started doing witness sketches for the investigators. And I've done that for years. And my name gets out there, and then people just started contacting me. I built a website, and that's how most people find me, or just through other people, word of mouth and things like that, and with investigators. And now most of the people come to me through my website or through other people. Like some of my witnesses will tell someone else and say, hey, she did my witness sketch, and she can do my witness sketch, and would she do my witness sketch? So
Yeah.
that's kind of how, that's a real short version. Anyway, I'm just a normal person who lives with my 93-year-old mom who's still rocking it, and
Awesome.
I'm her companion.
Yeah.
And I'm not out in the field as much as I was, but I'll be out there again one day, because I'm a field researcher at heart. I love field research, and I love working with witnesses, recreating, getting that image that's been burned in their mind out, so other people can see what people are seeing out there. Because there's, especially the creature that you saw, Rob, like, oh my goodness, there's no comparison. And I think you could try to describe what you saw in thousands of words, but there's still nothing like the visual image that people are going to see tonight. It's a Sasquatch not like one I've ever done before. It's so unusual.
Wow.
Yeah, and really quickly, thanks to Sherry Griffey for becoming a BMR pirate, matey.
Yes, thank you, Sherry.
That just flows. BMR pirate. And I must say, before we get on to mine, I've had several renditions of mine done. As I say here, I like for people to see what I saw. It was 5 years ago, so this is just so perfect. And when we start talking about it, we spent some time on this, and I will say nothing's 100%, right? Yours is 95 to 96% spot on. I'm very proud of it. I love what you do. So before we get into mine, I'm going to give a sample of some of your other work you've done, and you can kind of give the story behind them, because everybody, a pure artist in my mind, one of the best out there.
Mhm.
And what I was
Thank
about
you.
to say, the people have tried to do mine didn't even come close to what you did. So I
Mm.
did want to let that know. So I'm going to start out with a Bigfoot, because this that you did for, and you can get into it because I don't know who this was about or what it was about, and I'll give the facial on this one to start it out. And here we go.
Wow.
Yeah, this is not a happy camper, you can tell. So this
Mm-mm.
is from the Ontario area, and this young man was on his property on his four-wheeler, and he was coming around like a pretty sharp turn, quite. I think he had slowed down, and he was coming around, and out of the corner of his eye, he saw, something paralleling him, and then I guess this thing just a burst of speed came right in front of him, grabbed the handlebars of his four wheeler, and stopped him so fast. I mean, this thing is massive. I mean, can you imagine stopping a four wheeler? And I
Wow.
mean, it dug its heels in, and he said that he actually pushed it back and it dug its heels in. He said, but it stopped him so fast that he went flying over the handlebars. Um, he said his face and this thing's face just came like inches away from each other before he was
Wow.
flipped over and he went flying like quite some distance.
So
And
he got a
he
good look at it then.
he
Wow.
did. And that's what he told me. He said he got a really good look, and he's I always ask the witnesses I work with, like, what is it that you think these things are? And he was one of the first people who told me. He said, this is a giant, like out of the Bible, like biblical giant. That's what he believes. That
Wow.
it is an ancient, you know, it's a giant. He didn't, no one's ever said that to me before, and I was quite
Mhm.
moved by it. But it was a massive creature, and his wife was heard. She was close enough that she heard the engine of the four wheeler stop abruptly, and so she came running, fearing that something had happened. And she found the four wheeler, the Sasquatch or this giant was already gone. And then she found her husband, and I think he had a concussion. I mean, he hit
Mhm.
pretty, but he didn't, I don't think he broke anything, but it was a terrifying experience for sure. And
Yeah,
he ends up, he's doing research there, and he believes he's come into contact with other members of this clan where he is.
and,
Wow.
and speaking of giants, here's all of the same Bigfoot, but from head to toe.
Yeah, it's massive.
Oh
Wow.
yeah.
Did he say how big it was?
Yeah, he thought it was at least 10 feet. I mean, it's massive.
Wow, that's a big one.
Yeah, and just massive from, 4.5, 5 feet from the shoulder to shoulder, and 800 to 1,000 pounds, maybe more. And it was just
Wow.
massive. Just, it, can you imagine it? I don't know how heavy one of those,
Are you
Hello,
there?
are you there? Hello.
I mean, how strong you would have to be able to stop one of those things going, 20 plus miles an hour.
Wow.
Wow.
But he felt its breath
Scary.
on his face. I mean, it was, and I asked him why he thought that this thing did this, and he thinks that there was a little ones like or a little one nearby. Maybe he thought maybe even saw like two, but he wasn't sure. But he definitely saw the one, and it was running up, and I guess it was afraid for its young ones, so
Wow.
it stopped him dead in his tracks.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is really
scars
amazing.
on it
And
had a big scar on its face. Yeah, a
and
Wow.
lot of
again,
people see Sasquatches with scars on their face. That's kind of
Mhm.
common.
what I would imagine a lot of them do battle. I mean, I know the
Yeah.
Sasquatch can hold its own, but you get ganged up by several creatures. And speaking of getting ganged up on, I'm going to bring up.
Thank you,
Thanks, Shade
Shade.
Viking. Thank you, Shade brother. What I'm going to do is maybe they got in a battle with one of these guys. which we're going to roll into. And Sybilla's ready.
Well, not
Laugh.
only other Bigfoot too, but you think, like bear and things like that too,
There's other mammals, yes, bear, sure, a
Yeah.
wolf,
Yep.
or something, or something else, maybe
Yeah.
Well, and
something.
look at the scars we get on our faces from falling, and
Yeah,
know.
I get them from shaving, Sybilla. I mean,
I've got a scar right here from a brown recluse.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you what, Sybilla.
Ooh.
I got to tell you, I think this would give you a pretty nasty scar.
Oh.
Well, it's interesting because this story was this encounter was a sheriff, and he's driving on this dirt road. It's North Carolina, and he's driving on this dirt road like early in the morning, slowly, and he sees in his headlights there's two individuals fighting in the road, and it's two of these things fighting in the road, and one of them has got the advantage and has lifted up the second one up over its head and then bangs it on the road, like bam, 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 several times, and then throws it off into the ditch. And the sheriff notices there's another one in the ditch, cowering, and he thinks that it was two males possibly fighting over the female. And after it threw the male into the ditch, and he was in his police car, and he was just he was creeping closer and closer, trying to figure out. I think at first he didn't know what was in the road, but he saw some things standing up and fighting, and he gets getting closer, and then he realizes, oh my God, these are animals. And I just can't even imagine what's going through your mind as you're driving and your lights are hitting this thing, and then after this thing beat this thing against the road and tossed it into the ditch. Then it looked at him, and it raised its hands and started coming for him. And so he of course, slammed it in reverse and got the heck out of there. Well, he was backing up and got the heck out of there. And then when he got to a place where he could turn around, he turned around. And then he drove so far, and then he said, "What am I doing? I need to go back and investigate." So after he kind of composed himself, then he went back to the area where they were, and of course they were gone. But
That's scary.
What an experience. And you know what? Here's the crazy thing. That creature that you saw was not that tall. Like, it was 3.5, 4.5 feet tall. It was not a massive Dogman like so many other people have seen. So what does that mean? Does that mean there's a whole nother species of these dog-like creatures that are smaller in stature, but obviously just as wicked?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I think there's many different species. Even when you talk about these dogman entities, these creatures, however you want to classify them, you hear a lot of stories about different ones, different shapes and sizes. Some that seem to be ethereal and some that seem to be flesh and blood, but it's always chasing somebody down. I get so many stories about them chasing down a car up alongside your car. Cynthia Price, thanks for gifting off those 5 memberships, 5 new pirates. Arr. Thanks, Cynthia. Arr, so
I actually have a question for Sybilla.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I know whenever I hear encounters, the scary ones of Bigfoot and Dogman, it takes me a few to process this, and I couldn't imagine trying to sketch them. I mean, what goes through your mind? Do you have to take a minute and think about this, or I just couldn't imagine, because I know just hearing these encounters is like, wow.
The process of working with witnesses is fascinating, and I absolutely love it. When I first get them on the phone or a Zoom call, I first want to hear them and watch them tell their story, and of course I take notes. And then after they've told me their story, then I start asking a bunch of questions because I have to see it in my mind's eye, kind of to
Sure.
know what to draw. So I just start asking a whole bunch of questions, and I usually start with the eyes, and then move on to the other features because I think the eyes and the face are probably the most important part. And usually, when I'm working with the witness, I'll do the facial sketch first, and then after I get that right, then we'll go on to the rest of the body. But it's really like 500 questions. I mean, I sometimes feel sorry for him
Oh,
because I'm
well,
have him on the phone for like an hour and a half asking him a bunch of questions, and about the okay, like what's the distance between the eyes? Because when you're drawing things, the distance between those shapes, between the bottom of the eye and the bottom of the nose, and the width of the nose, and the distance from the nose to the top of the lip, and the width of the mouth, and the distance from the bottom lip to the bottom, all those dimensions.
Sure.
That's what creates the accuracy that I'm going for. So they
Yeah.
they take a whole lot of time, as Rob can
yeah,
tell you.
as
They
I
take
will, yes. I don't mean to cut you off, but I had to interject this. Sybilla and I, everybody coming late, my rendition will be saved for the last part of the show, of course, because we got two more Sybillas. And yes, everybody listening, we didn't just sit down, Sybilla, and come up with this in 10 minutes, did we?
no, no,
I mean,
no.
it took
It's
a few days for sure, right? I don't know how many hours we logged in.
lots and lots of questions, and then remember I would send you iterations, and that's how
Yeah.
it worked. Is I send after I kind of feel like I have an idea, then I'll send an iteration to the witness, and I'll say, don't be concerned if it's not looking great at first, because we'll just keep pinging it back and forth until I get it right, and just tell me what to fix. And so Rob and I were, pinging it back and forth, and I don't think I couldn't get it. And I said, how, would you be willing to get on a Zoom call for me? And then I'll
Yeah.
screen share, and then you and I can go into, we can go into the program, and then you can literally, I could just put my pointer there and you tell me what to
Ye-
fix. And so that's literally what we did, because
Yeah.
this creature that he saw, its face morphs. And I seriously couldn't imagine. I mean, how do you imagine that? So I literally just had to have him, like
Yeah.
almost like he was sitting next to me, dragging the tools around, trying to create the
Yes.
face that he saw.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
it took us and everybody listening. That's why we did take our time. Literally, Sybilla, you mentioned the eyes were the first thing you start with, and kind of was pretty difficult. It took us a few hours to get the eyes right. I mean,
Yes.
it literally did, everybody. I mean, we took Sybilla spent a lot of time, and I almost felt like I was, and I always had to tell Sybilla, "Hey, I'm not knocking your work at all, but it's not quite there yet, but she loved it because because Sybilla wants to
Mhm.
present her work through the eyes of the experiencer as best as
Right.
possible. So when I tell everybody this is about 94 to 95% accurate, I'm never going to say 100 because you just had to be there to get that
Mhm.
100%. But this is as close to anything that I've come up with from other artists trying to give the rendition. So now when I show this later, everybody can get an idea what I did see, right? And just
Yeah.
like your other things you've done are, I know, have to be close. We'll pull up a meaner looking Bigfoot here that you did for
Yeah.
somebody really quick. Let me just go find it here. And yeah, okay, here is the upfront face of this guy. Here we go.
Yeah. It's scary.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I know. And when I was working on this sketch for this woman, man, my heart just went out to her, especially once I put the mouth in, and she, she directed like how long the canines were and things. This poor woman, she still has terrible, terrible PSD from this event. I mean, it's not something she'll ever get over. She still has nightmares, and this happened when she was really quite young. I think she was, there like an 18-year-old or
Wow.
somewhere around like in that age. She was young, and she was driving because her and her father were on a trip to Yellowstone, and they were camping. They were going camping, and they literally just got to their campsite and were getting, things all set up. I think her dad had set up the tent and things, and her job was to gather firewood and get a fire started because she was getting ready to cook their lunch. And like literally, they hadn't even been there that long. They were still just setting up. And so she'd started the fire, and she was about to start cooking, and a bowling ball sized rock flew right past her head and crashed. And then, of course, she was shocked. She looks up to see this thing is standing not that far from her, maybe 10 yards. And then it opens its mouth and roars, screams at her. And, I just can't even imagine. So,
Wow.
and her dad, of course, sees it too. So they just make a break for the car, and they get in the car, and they just jump in the car. She gets it started, and they leave everything behind. And while they're driving, they're being pelted with rocks. Like this thing is still screaming and still chasing them and
Wow.
still throwing rocks at them, hitting the car. And then the second image that I sent you is literally this thing chased them down the Forest Service road.
And here, I'm going to pull that up right now. I do want to make a quick comment. What I love about this, and every encounter story, this goes to show you guys something. A lot of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, a lot of them look more human, right? A lot of them do look like a human. You always get the story about the man eyed one up in his telescope on his rifle. Didn't shoot it because he thought it looked like a human being. Now you look at this one, unlike a lot of the ones that have the human characteristic, this more looks like more of an apish looking creature, right?
Yes,
It
and
doesn't
that's
have a
what
lot
she
of the
said.
not a lot
Well,
of the human
people are
element.
commenting in chat too. Could it be a gugway possibly?
Well, Duke would know
Yeah.
about that. And this, I think the Gugway might have more of an extended nose. I'm not an expert, so I don't
I'm
know.
not
But
either.
again, hey, it's creepy. And now we're gonna bring up it running down the road that rendition. And let's see here.
I just can't imagine looking, driving as fast as you can on a Forest Service road so that you don't crash your vehicle. And we all know how bad those roads can be sometimes.
I'm going to take off this
and
banner real quick too to show the feet. But look at those massive. Look at this thing.
Yeah.
How big did they say that one was?
It was massive. She said, I think she said between 8 and 9 feet tall. And again, it's the word I hear them very most from witnesses is the word massive. Like they can't tell you enough how big it is. I mean, think of a 4x8 piece of plywood, chasing you down the road. And she said it's still screaming, roaring at them, and they finally get away from it, and they go they find a ranger station, and they go in the ranger station, and of course they don't believe them, and then, oh, you saw a bear, of course, and they kept trying to tell them, no, that's not what we saw. She said it threw a rock. I mean, she tried, and they couldn't get through. Of course, the rangers probably knew exactly what they were talking about. It just couldn't acknowledge.
Yeah.
An interesting fact about this too is there were forest fires in Yellowstone that year, and so she wonders if possibly, this was a Sasquatch that kind of had to leave its area, and it was, hungry, or it was livid. It was not having it was just very, very upset, and obviously didn't want them to be there. And they left everything behind, and they didn't go back to try to retrieve it. They weren't getting help from the Forest Service, so they just left, and they drove like all the way through the night to get back to their home, which was California.
Did they say how fast they were going, that it was keeping up like that?
I don't remember if she said. I think she was just so panicked.
Sure.
And I think it stayed up with them for quite a long time. I think if it was really trying to catch them, it probably could have. But I think its intention was just to get them to leave.
Yeah, that's really scary.
It is. And let me ask you, Sybilla, because I know I experienced this a little bit with you. And what I love about you, you just don't do the artwork or the rendition for the people that contact you. That you remember all their stories. They told you the story, and I've got to ask, with a lot of these people, and you bring it back. Like I said, what you did for me brought me back. I'll
Mm.
never forget my encounter. It's always in my mind, and I can always take myself there whenever I wish, because I knew what it looked
Mhm.
like. And when I told you, when I was describing my iteration to you that you were doing, it brought me back. And I had a couple somber moments. So I'm wondering, a lot of these folks that you deal with, you got to kind of make sure that you're get a pulse on their emotions. I know this is emotional for a lot of people.
Mhm.
It is, and there's a lot of people that cry. I mean, men and women that cry, um, and I feel, I feel terrible when it happens, and I feel, and I know how difficult it must be to see the face of this thing again. For her and for you, Rob, and for the witness I'm working with now. Um,
Yes.
I'm working with Matt
Well,
Imsh right now, and I'm about to release that video. I'm just maybe
mm,
15 minutes away from having all of
Wow.
the post-production work done. And,
Mhm.
I was showing him some stuff yesterday, and he just, it is, there was one image I showed him, and he just got really quiet. And I said, "Are you okay, Matt?" And he said, "It just makes me so mad. It makes me so mad because of what happened to him and happened to his friends. Some of them are no longer here, and it's directly tied to the horrible event that they had." So I I'm such an empath anyway.
yes.
It breaks my heart, and I've literally had witnesses throw up after seeing their sketch, and
Wow.
um,
Rob,
anyway.
after you saw yours, what went through your mind? I mean,
I was just so many different emotions. I couldn't believe what the heck I saw. And
mhm.
first of all, I couldn't believe what happened to me. I can't believe that, everything went, you know, I lost, it felt like time stood still. And then of course I lost the, my cognitive reasoning or abilities because everything turned like black and white, grainy. Then of course my girlfriend is in the water because
Mhm.
again, I'm not telling my story when we bring up my iteration, my rendition, but most of you have heard it where this thing dropped its jaw and yelled, and you're going to see the picture and bellow this screech, guttural roar. Duke Sullivan calls it a sonic blast, which knocked my girl into the water.
Mhm.
And I can't get to her because I am paralyzed. I don't know if it was shock or I got hit by some sort of frequency, right? But I couldn't move for like what seemed to
Sure.
be forever. Then I got her in. And then, of course, as I was saying, I looked to the shoreline, the creature, whatever you want to call it, was gone, right? And yeah, and we sat down and stared at each other at that bar for 10 minutes before we even said anything. We had to
Mhm.
wait to take a shot of Jack Daniels and swallow down a Bud Light before we
Right.
started talking because we were
Right.
just like, what was that? And
Yeah.
I knew, and I always, as a person, believed that Bigfoot kind of maybe existed. I mean, I always watched shows back in the day when they came on, but until you can't
Mhm.
explain what goes through your mind when you see something that's not supposed to exist. Only something that you see on movies or in the TV
Mhm.
or listen to other people's stories until it
Sure.
happens to you.
Sure.
So my mind was just all over. And of course, we all know what happened later with her. We're not going to really
Right.
open that up. But yeah,
Well,
it
I'm
was terrible.
curious what went through your mind after you seen the sketch. Like,
Oh, well, during the sketch, I was telling Sybilla, I can't believe you're bringing this thing to life. And
mhm.
that's why I found a person. Because Sybilla, right now, you're extremely talented. I've
Oh,
told
thank
this to you
you.
many times. And for people listening, she does fantastic work. And when I tell everybody she's 95% spot on with my encounter, I'm not doing that to promote Sybilla or this rendition you're about to see here at the end of the first break, which is when I'll show it to you, everybody. It it's lifelike. Yes, it's an artistic
Mhm.
rendition. It's not a photo, but it's as close as you can get. And with all these things that you've drawn, I've got to suspect, Sibyl, that they're all pretty damn accurate for the person telling you the story and
Mhm.
explaining and defining what these things look like.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
and I
what I
tell them I don't want to stop until I want to keep going. I don't care how long it takes. I want to get it as close as we can
yeah.
get it.
And Sybilla, you didn't with me, you didn't care. And I was almost like, man, we've been doing this for a few days, few hours. We logged some hours, and I was like, are you and then you would always say, "Are you satisfied?" And I always didn't. I because you're so awesome, I just had to say, "No, it's not quite right. Can we go longer?" You're like, "Yes, of course." So you were really great about that. There was no rush. There was no pressure.
Mm,
Everything that I told you, you did. You didn't use your own imagination. It came
yeah.
from my mind, my memory banks,
Mhm.
and that's why it's such a believable. When I tell the story and I think of that, it makes that story just so much more believable in my mind, and hopefully the people that see it tonight when they hear the story again can now have this in mind. We're going to do one last one about a dog man, the rendition, and I want you to speak on this one because again, this shows off your talent, and I'd like to hear the story behind this one because I would not want this coming and peering in my window anytime, night or day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And this is Joe Barger. If you're familiar with Joe
I
Barger
know, I know.
mhm.
story, yeah, yes,
Yeah,
this is
somebody in
his.
chat actually brought that up. You did it, and here we
Yeah.
have it. Joe
Yeah,
Barger.
This is Joe's. And if you ever get a
Wow.
chance to speak with him or have him on your show, he's just an awesome witness. I mean, what happened to him? Oh my gosh. He was a truck driver and he was taking those big rolls of paper. Um, that's what he was carrying on his truck. And he had some kind of like an air leak, air brake, a problem.
Mhm.
And it was something he'd had before and he knew how to fix it. And he knew the area he was driving very, very well. And he knew that there was a place where he could pull off and turn around or do whatever he needed to do. So he got stopped and he was, working on this air leak, fixing it. And he said that he felt like, suddenly became uncomfortable and felt like he was being watched. And even I think maybe heard stuff. And then he actually turned at one point and saw something black. And he thought, of course, it was a bear. So he just kind of kept an eye on it, but he still felt really, really creeped out. He got the job done. And fortunately, he got back up in his truck. And you guys know an 18-wheeler, like the windows
Sure.
of those
Right.
trucks are,
Oh, yeah.
what that's at
You can't.
at least 9 feet tall.
Yeah, an average
So he
man or person can't look up into the window at all.
no, so he gets
Right.
in his truck and he starts, and everybody knows how long it takes an 18-wheeler that's loaded with 40,000 plus pounds of
Right.
material, and he's having to go up a grade as well. So it's slow. So he puts it in gear and he starts going up this grade, and then his windows are down, the passenger side and his windows are down, and he's going, he says, I think 25 miles an hour or so, and he happens to see something in the in his peripheral vision, and this thing is running beside his truck and then puts its face in the window, and he says its eyes are, and this thing takes up, it's just his head takes up the entire window of his truck. I mean, just imagine the size of that. And he says that its eyes are darting back and forth, and it's got this, and I've heard this from Bigfoot, I mean, from Dogman witnesses before, like it almost sneers, like it raises its mouth,
Mhm.
like it's smiling, sneering at them. And so its eyes are darting back and forth, and it's kind of doing this sneer. And of course, this is all happening in just a couple of seconds, but he can tell by the way that this thing is looking in. He says it's obviously extremely intelligent, and it's like looking around, but he says it's like gaining information, like it's figuring things out. And then its hand is reaching, like reaching in the door. And he said its hand was literally as big as a steering wheel. Like, oh my gosh, can you guys imagine and
No,
it's
I
and
can't.
it's running right there, and like he said it's trying to figure out, and he said he could clearly tell his intention was to get him, that's was it,
Yeah.
that was his whole intention. So he
You
pulls
know,
out his gun. I think it's like a 45, one of those what they call, but it's like a 45, but it's one of those. Gosh, I could remember. Wish I could remember the name of the gun. My brother's got one of them, and it's got copper bullets in it. It's got custom made bullets in it,
Mm-hmm.
and he just pulls up and he shoots twice, and you know what? He just he just got lucky that he happened to hit it, and he thinks he hit it in the eye, and he watched it. He said it almost looked like it got clotheslined, like it just went down, and he watched
boom.
it in his rearview mirror as it tumbled and fell off
Wow.
into the grass. Um,
I can't
and
even see how that thing could even close his mouth with all those teeth. It seems like it would
yeah,
just be looking sinister with his mouth shut.
I'm
Not that
sure
it's
some of
sinister
them were.
looking.
Yeah, I'm sure
Oh
some of
boy.
them are still sticking out even with its mouth closed.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah,
that
what
is
a
like
horrific story. And then now he did go back. Like he got up to a certain area and he turned around and he came back. And by the time he got there, there was already a vehicle there, which he found very suspect. And they just said that they thought they saw a bear or whatever. But obviously, it was not. He believes it was. Well, if any of you know his story, a
yeah,
year
I've
later,
heard
he yes, a
Yes.
year later he was pulled over at one of those stations, um, and he was held, by the feds, and they basically, they held him, and they told him they were very unhappy with him, and they had killed one of their assets. He had killed one of their assets.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's another that's another story. Is well, I gotta have him on.
Yes, he's
Yeah.
an excellent
Actually,
witness.
Barton Nunley put out a video yesterday with Joe Barger's story.
Oh well, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody after this, go check out that story then. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Because there's nothing like hearing it from the man who actually experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
Horrific, what a horrific story. What a
Scary,
horrific
scary
encounter.
stories. All of them,
Or
It
what
is a
would have
scary
happened if
story.
he hadn't had his gun? Like what?
Right, right.
I don't even want to think about what might have happened.
Mm-mm.
Like I don't even want to think what happened if I'd have seen what I saw. I was on a boat 90 feet offshore. Had I been on land, I don't know. And everybody, after the 5 minute break, we're going to pull up my Bigfoot. There's a lot of people. I don't want to tell my entire story because I do note that there are a lot of people that are new here. In fact, I'm putting out a video. I don't even have a video of my story anywhere. I've been on many shows and done it, and I don't even have my own video. I think this weekend I'm gonna drop I'm gonna make a video on it for people that are new because I don't have a link. But real briefly, we're gonna do my story when we get. We're gonna do my rendition when we get back.
Mm-hmm.
For people that don't know, I had a Bigfoot encounter in 2018, Cadillac, Michigan. Okay. And this is going to be the first time that it's going to be brought to the public to see what
Mm-hmm.
Sybilla has done for me, the great work she's done. And I went out fishing with my girlfriend back at the time. Again, it was summertime, June 15, 2018. I will never forget the date. Manistee National Park. I'm fishing 90 feet offshore. And to preface this, rocks were being thrown at the boat. I kind of disregarded them. And my girlfriend was telling me, no, somebody's throwing rocks, blah, blah, blah. Then finally I see her and she's staring into the wood line. And and I look, what is she looking at? And it's this big towering creature, a Bigfoot, if you will, right? It's about 9 foot tall,
Mm-hmm.
covered in reddish brown hair, standing on its side with his arms on its side. And it'll kind of look like a human being in a way, but he looked deformed. I always say he looked like he had like Down syndrome. His eyes were offset. He had a big, grayish face, but he did look human. And then I'm like, what in the world? And then it raises its arms parallel to the shoreline. It drops its jaw, and that face metamorphoses into something I always describe looking like a demon. And as he drops its jaws, you see like some teeth up top and some teeth down the bottom. And in unison, it roars without moving its mouth, and the jaw drops pretty
Mm-hmm.
considerably. all in unison, a scream, a yell, a guttural howl, just guttural sound is now protracted across the river, and the lake, and we're 90 feet. It hits me. I can feel it. My girlfriend fell off, got flipped off the boat. Then all of a sudden, it felt like I was in it felt like a time, I was in a time trap, and I couldn't move. Then all of a sudden, I couldn't see right. I see it was very grainy, very black and white. And this thing's howling. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to break out of this trance, if you will. I finally get my girlfriend into the boat, get her in. I look to shoreline, the thing's gone, and then we just sped off. I docked the boat, we got out, we found a bar, and we sat down and we discussed it. And that's really what put me on my journey that I'm on today. Well, I even started the podcast and everything else. So when I get back, we're going to take our 5-minute break per usual. But when I get back, we're going to bring up what I saw June 15th of 2018. So grab your pop, grab your chips, do your smoke, whatever it is that you do. And I'll see you, Sybilla Irwin, and of course the lovely Krista in 5.
nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond BMR with my great guest and friend Sybilla Irwin with Sketching Encounters. I know the lovely Lily's been dropping Sybilla's link in the chat, or we can get in touch with Sybilla, and we'll get into that a little bit later towards the end of the show. I want to thank Sherry Griffey for becoming a BMR pirate. Arr, thanks, Sherry. I also want to thank Cynthia Price for gifting 5 Bigfoot Michigan Rob memberships. I have 6 new members, 6 new pirates, if you will. Arr. Shade Viking, thanks for the super chat. Catherine Gay, thank you for the super chat. The super chat's a great way to help support what we do around here. The donations are always appreciative. Thank you so much for that. And don't forget Texas Front Porch on Texas Front Porch YouTube channel is Mondays, 7 Central, 8 in the East. Tuesdays, right back here with me and Krista Beyond BMR, 8 Central, 9 in the East. Wednesdays on Texas Front Porch, the Diva Dimension, 9 Central, 10 in the East. Thursdays, myself and Tex, Brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob, 12 Central, 1 in the East. Thursday nights, the Blondes, the Booze Paranormal Podcast, 8 Central, 9 in the East. And if you need a little more woo with the booze, the Blondes and the Booze are back at you Friday, 8 Central, 9 in the East. Also, go check out my buddy Barton, not only in Humanoids. He's doing live shows on Wednesday. Go check him out. Awesome guy, good friend. Thank you. Saturdays, Infamous Minds on Texas Front Porch. It's true crime. Go check out Tex on that. For all you that have bought my book, Bigfoot Michigan Rob presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1. The link is pinned up top for those of you that would care to purchase it. For those that have bought it, once again, thank you for that. When Amazon comes calling, please leave a review. It's great for analytics. It helps promote the sales a little bit, so I do appreciate that. And, of course, we'll be doing a Bigfoot conference June 7th and 8th, the Alabama Bigfoot Conference coming up. I'll be speaking Barton, the girls, Tex, he's the MC, Jason McLean, Daryl Denton, and a few others. I don't have the I'm getting nervous because I got to tell you, I forgot. And, we're going to be unveiling my Bigfoot finally. And I don't get nervous when I do shows, but, I'm getting tingling in my feet and my fingers. And I'm not just saying that to help promote what we're about to unveil here. It's something that I'm like, whoa, it's really whoa, right? And it's not woo. It might even be woo. It might be part woo too. You guys will have to decide. I'm gonna bring up Krista. Hey, Krista.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good.
And I'm bringing up Sybilla too because we're gonna get on with this. Hi, Sybilla.
Hello.
And
Hi, Krista.
again, thanks for joining us. I got to tell you before we get into mine, those again. That's why I'm glad you did my rendition, because I think as most people in chat, and I can tell by the people in chat, they were the one Dogman really scared some people. Like, oh my God, I can't look at that. But that's the thing. You bring these things to life. You literally do in an artistic fashion. I think you're the best. And trust me, I've been through a lot of people trying to bring mine to life. And no one comes close, not even 50% compared to you.
And Rob, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I've heard other people say that too. She's the best.
Yeah, well, she is. No,
well,
really.
I think people are used to seeing the Hollywood version of these Dogmen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? They are. And, we've all seen the Hollywood Dogman. The first one that comes to mind for me would be the American Werewolf in London, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then, one of my favorite movies of all time are the trilogy with the one, the vampire hunter lady. Thanks, Be Kind, for that. I appreciate that. I forget. I'm just thinking advanced because of this, what we're about to show you. But there's a lot of great werewolf movies out there that have fantastic Hollywood renditions. And Sybilla, yours aren't Hollywood. They are actually, they're what the people presented to you, right? I mean, it's from their own experiences. So
straight from their experiences, not from mine. In fact, I find the Dogman the most difficult thing to draw ever. I mean, almost as difficult as drawing like human portraits, which thank you, Barton.
Well, thanks really quickly. Be Kind for the super chat. And Barton Nully, thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it. Love you guys. Thank you ever so much for that. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. I find human faces very extremely difficult to draw also or to paint, and I've done a bunch of portraits. And you're off a 16th of an inch, and people will say, well, it looks really close, but we recognize those dimensions being off just a little bit here or
Mhm.
there. So
Yeah.
that this Dogman thing, I seriously have a hard time drawing.
Yeah, well, you
Wow.
do a fantastic job, and
Yeah, you
with
do.
this and with the rendition you did for me, I'll let you explain. I'm not going to put words in your mouth. Other than this, it was a challenge for you because I don't think
It
you've done
was
anything quite like this.
nothing I've drawn in the 15 years that I've been drawing witness sketches for Sasquatch witnesses. Nothing has ever come even close to what you and I put together.
Yeah. So we're going to bring it up. Okay.
It's very
Um,
unique.
and the one I'm bringing up first is going to be it's going to be the Bigfoot that I saw for the first time. I'm bringing up this sketch of the Bigfoot that looked humanoidish. It looked kind of like a person, a deformed person, as I
Mhm.
always say, kind of Down syndrome, offset eyes. And, uh, and for the very first time on this show, I got four of them. I got this one, and then I'm going to show the full body with his hands on the side. Then after that, move into the demonic looking ones. So the unveiling. I'm nervous here. Okay, here we go. Here is the actual human looking version that I saw June 15th of 2018.
Wow.
Yeah.
Definitely looks like you said, Down syndrome or something there.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And we
Almost
wondered
looks
what,
sad.
like, yeah, Duke and I talked. I mean, not Duke. I'm sorry. Rob and I talked about that. We talked about while we were working on this. Was this a genetic
Hmm.
malformation, or did this did it have an accident? Like maybe
Sure.
maybe his orbital was fractured and caused the eye to droop.
Yeah.
Um,
Or
we'll
just
never
as
know.
someone said in chat, maybe even a stroke. Who
Yeah,
knows?
Duke just mentioned that. Now,
Hmm.
again, I've told the story at nauseum over for several years, and it's always when I try to portray the story, it's always so hard to get the people to understand when I say like Down syndrome or off or just weird offset.
Hmm.
Look at the offset eyes. That is, I mean, that's what it was. The creepy, the wrinkled, dry looking skin. Sybilla, you really did a fantastic job of bringing out the detail in
Hmm.
that face.
Thank you, thank you. Well, you
And
helped. I mean, literally,
well,
he was.
well, yeah,
I did.
Wow.
I did not make this up on my own. Every aspect of this, he helped me with, from the texture of the skin and the wrinkles, and I've drawn a lot of Sasquatches, but none of them have the same bridge of the nose like his had, and
Hmm.
even the width of the eyes, the deep setness of it. Um, and look at the way the nose flares out, and there's such a short distance between the bottom of the nose and the top of the lip, and then
Hmm.
even the mouth is not standard for most Sasquatches. And
yeah,
the chin, how look at how square the chin is and the jaw is, real heavy jaw.
and
it's
I
Hmm.
it's
think that
it's
comes into play later when it actually opens the mouth. And you had mentioned earlier about the scarring of the face. It looks like this poor fellow, and he does look kind of sad. I think Krista, you mentioned he looks kind of sad,
Hmm.
and it looks like he's been through a war, literally,
it
or a
does
lot of
it
fights.
does yeah. Or maybe because of what happened to him, maybe he's shunned or something. Who knows? Maybe he leads a
And
lonely
somebody
life.
a lonely life is one, and then of course, I think I'm sorry who said it in chat. Looks like perhaps an older one, maybe. I mean, it certainly doesn't look very youthful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I love about you is the detail. And when I tell everyone the reddish brown, long flowing hair, you can see how it flows down from the head. And so I can depict that better for everybody because what I'm going to do is pull it up when it was standing at the shoreline with the arms on its side. Before I do, Sybilla, any more comments you want to mention on this particular rendition?
Just how persnickety we were. Like,
Well,
we really spent a whole lot of time with just before we even moved on to the body, and everything.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just
and
want I
again,
just want people to know you guided my hand on all of this.
well, thank you for that. I did the best I could. And yes, Scott, for those joining late, this is we're showing now my rendition of what I saw June 15th, 2018. If you missed the show joining late, but Sybilla has 4 other renditions from other people that we discussed earlier in the show. So you're going to have to watch the replay later. But yes, thank you for that. And yeah, you did a fantastic job. And now what we're going to do is go into the full bodied image that I saw along the lake at the shoreline, I should say, really. And let me get to it. I'm going to drop that down. Hang on a second. Let me. Okay. Do. Okay, so here he is. Here he is standing. Here's his body, the fuller body caption here. And so I think I always say he was every bit of 9 feet tall. Again, you see how the arms are on his side. You see how the hair flowed down a little bit. The powerful looking stomach, the arms. I'm going to take this.
Sybilla.
Uh-oh. Well,
She'll be back.
oh yeah, she'll definitely be. Of course, when never mind. But yeah, so
Somebody in chat, several have made comment. Maybe the deformity is due to inbreeding.
it could be. I mean, I don't know.
Could be a possibility of all different kinds of things. There, she's back.
Yeah, I see. So there she is. Yeah, of course, Sybilla. Of course, this would happen. But you're back. Hello. Yeah.
Hello.
Okay. So yeah, so what we're just talking about the colors, and this color pretty much matched what I saw. I mean, as I said, this is 93 to 95% dead on. And Gary Spike Sr. says, yeah, stroke. So that's the second stroke. And perhaps,
Yeah.
And even purposely this was done, Sybilla. The right arm is straighter, but the left arm you can see where we had a little bicep put in there because that's pretty much he was off. This guy was off. And even his thighs are thick, but if you look at the calves, muscular yet thinner, it seems like they should have been more stout. But again, this is what I saw. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow.
So we're gonna move on because this is the guy, everybody, and I'm just going to really quickly. This is the guy's face once again. There he is, and that's spot on, everybody. What I saw that day, and here is the thing. I'm gonna give the close-up face. Now here's the metamorphosis. Again, for those that did not hear the story, this thing metamorphosizes in front of me. It drops its jaw, it changes its entire face, and it lets out this long, guttural scream, yell, whoop. Well, I won't even say whoop. Scream, yell, and like a screech, right? And then I got hit with a sonic boom, me and my girlfriend who did flip off the boat. So this, again, I got 2 renditions, the up close and then from the shoreline. Again, all these are, of course, from shoreline. Here we go.
Wow.
So when I tell people it metamorphosized, you tell me that that's not a metamorphosis. The
Wow.
skin is tight, eyes roll black, exposing these teeth. Sybilla, what were your thoughts when we
Oh,
started doing this?
well, when you and I first talked and you told me your story, I was fascinated with what you said about the face morphing. And I remember telling you, I really want to try to accomplish that is, what you saw. I really want to try to do that rendition. I was really fascinated by that. There's another witness I work with that also, the mouth opened so wide, the whole face distorted while it was screaming. Like you're the second person that I've worked with that has seen that. But when you and I were working, and I remember I kept saying, okay, does it need to be bigger? And you'd say, yeah, bigger. And then I would make it bigger, and you'd say, yeah, bigger. And then when you said that's it, I just remember, telling you, oh my God, I cannot believe that that's what you saw. Oh my God, how did you
Mhm.
not have nightmares, for months and months after this? That's horrific.
Wow.
And I don't know the answer to that either, Maggie. How does he close the mouth with those fangs in it? But I got to tell you got to remember, if you remember the first drawing, the he had a pretty damn big mouth, right? The jawline was pretty big. I don't know the anatomy of these things. If those sharp bottom ones go up inside the nose cavity, I'm just
Mhm.
presenting what I saw,
Right.
and this is it, man. This is why I even till today say I don't know that I saw Bigfoot because I've
Well,
never seen anything like this.
like the teeth, could it maybe have been an old one too?
And
Or because even in some of the coloring, I see it looks like there might be some gray mixed in there too,
Mhm.
possibly. Maybe an old Bigfoot.
hey, and I tell you what, from the very first rendition, he looks like an older, beat up person that's been through
Right.
a war.
Right.
You look at this, it looks totally different, and
Mm-hmm.
it's got the note. You know what stays the same on this is the bridge of the nose, right, Sybilla?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind
Yeah,
of that kind of didn't change much. The
yeah.
Yeah.
But
skin is taut.
the eyes we did change, and
Yeah,
the brow ridge we changed. Like
yeah,
a whole lot of things changed.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is is a different thing. Okay, okay. Everybody keep this in mind. I want to show the difference. We'll pan back to the old guy.
Yeah,
Wow.
I wish I could bring up side by side. I'm not.
yeah,
I don't know how to do that. So here's this guy, and you're right. And if you look at that, now I'm just going to flash back again. Boom. You got that.
Wow.
We got this. So again, when I say metamorphosize, you guys, it
Yeah.
wasn't just a slight change. It was like, and look at the skin, right? The
Yeah.
eyes really off. White. You can see the whites of the eyes in this guy.
Sure.
Go back to this. Oh, go back to this.
And
Dark,
you can't.
deep eyes.
Yeah, you can't
yeah,
even see the white.
yeah.
No, black. And I seen black. Okay. And I seen teeth. And very. So can you imagine seeing that in live in person?
No.
And then now when it rose its arms to this from the parallel, or when he rose them parallel to the water, here is the other picture. And
Wow.
so this thing is kind of doing that. It's standing there, raises his arms from the side, extended just like that. And you can see I always talk about how the hair fringe came down. And this is where you can't do this in 3D. The only thing that I can't say perfect about this is when he roared that guttural sound, the
Mm-hmm.
head kind of went backwards, back inch towards closer to like the shoulders, if you will, a little bit. But other than that, and then that emanated yell, whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
that came out across from the tree line, the shoreline to the boat where we got hit with that. That's what it did. And it's
Wow.
like, my Lord, what in the heck are we looking at here?
Wow.
And then to be hit with the sound of
Yeah.
it.
So, you got, I went through, I don't know how long this encounter took place, probably 120 seconds. I mean, it was bam, bam. Then, of course, I thought time stood still for an instance.
Mm-hmm.
but you go through this, you see the original, the very first encounter, then the metamorphosis, and then to have him yell and scream, and then I got to worry about my girlfriend falling into the water, and then I can't move because I'm paralyzed, and I can't move, and I start shaking my head till I snap out of it. I finally get her in the boat, and now the thing is gone, right? The thing is gone.
Candy Wolf makes a point. The first pick would make you let your guard down, and then it turns into this.
Well, yeah, that's a great point. Kind of gets you mesmerized because if you
Right.
I'll be honest with you, if you go back again, I just gotta if you flip back to let's see here. If you flip back to when I pull it up again, this guy here. Now, if you look at that, well, first of all, I will tell you this. If you see anything like that, again, you don't know what you're looking at. Your heart is still pounding. But
Absolutely.
if you take a breath and you sit back and look at this rendition, not very threatening looking. I certainly would not want to be 5 feet in front of it, though. Not
so,
that.
Rob, how long did it look this way before it morphed?
It was like probably, I'm going to say 5, 8, 10 seconds. And then the morphine, probably another 5, 8, 10 seconds. And of course you had that time where I couldn't move and the
Right.
world, the colors faded and I had to get her. How long was he standing? Was he or she, it was a he. How long was he standing there when I turned to get Cindy in the boat? I couldn't tell you because that seemed like that took forever, so I think this entire encounter was probably 20 seconds, 25 at the most. It wasn't. It was like bam, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. He could have been standing there while I was pulling Cindy in. But then, of course, when I look back, he, of course, is gone.
Was gone.
And
wow.
So Sybilla cut out, but I'll pull this down here.
Can you play the other one real quick? Scott M asked to see it again.
Which one? The
demonic looking one.
Okay, yeah, I can pull that up. In here, okay, this is this. Everyone's seen that enough. Now, boom, this right here.
And honestly, it looks like 2 different creatures. The way it morphed, from this frail looking old thing to this. Wow, I couldn't imagine. What you went through.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can't hide Sybilla. Hi, Sybilla, once again. So I'll pull you up for a little bit here. And again, that's everybody, that's what I saw. And it was again, obviously it's something I'll never forget.
No.
And what I love about being able to unveil this, it took 5 years, right? 5 years. I saw this 5 years ago, right? In June. And I'm very happy with what you did, Sybilla, because now I think people that have heard my story now can put into their minds when they hear the story again. Now they can go through it in a more realistic process when they try to process the story.
Yeah.
And
wow. I couldn't imagine.
I can't either. And I remember when I met you in Texas, you weren't 100% sure that what you saw wasn't demonic. I mean, you felt like it was a Sasquatch at first, but then after it morphed like it did, I remember you saying, I'm not 100% sure it was a Sasquatch. That was such a demonic.
And I even make point to tell everyone today, I say my Bigfoot encounter, but again, I'm not 100% sure what it was. I mean, I don't. If it never morphed, I'm going full-blown Sasquatch. And then, throughout the time doing this, talking to other people, and then I started looking up like different like gorillas, apes. And the thing that reminds me most of as far as the metamorphosis goes is like the baboon, right? The baboon, if you look at a baboon, first of all, to me, they're creepy looking from the onset. But they also, when they're ticked off, they also can contort their face and expose all their teeth. And they don't look like the original thing They have a semblance, yes, but not like not like almost. This is almost like 95% flipped. And I don't know enough about the subject that they all can do this. I don't know. The only encounter I've had, and there wasn't a man, I forgot his name, who had a similar Bigfoot encounter that me, where it did kind of the same type thing. It might have even been Sybilla, our buddy, Red Creek Mafia, I think, maybe. He had a
Yes.
similar account as mine where it changed its look kind of drastically as well, right? But that's about the
Yes,
only person I've come across.
Yeah, that's who I referenced earlier, Mike Bluler. Yes, and
Mike Blue, yeah.
it opened its mouth also, and its eyes also. Its its face was. I mean, its mouth is just massive, and it's almost like its nose disappears with Mike's, like the nose. And I'm going to be releasing his pretty soon too. But it's like the mouth. It's the mouth. The whole proportions of mouth becomes like 2/3 of its face, and then the nose almost disappears, and then the eyes do some really strange thing. It really looks it, and if you look at it out of context, you'd be looking at it going, what the heck is that supposed to be? Because it doesn't make any sense it doesn't make any sense when you look at it. It doesn't look like a Sasquatch. It doesn't look. It's crazy what it does. And I have worked with other people who have said if they get to see a Sasquatch open its mouth fully, just how massively huge they're. You could stick a person's head in there. Their mouths are so huge, almost. And I do wonder if it's hinged differently somehow than ours. But they're
well, certainly, of course, just guessing that their anatomy, their makeup of their bones, their structure certainly is not anything comparable to ours. Now, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Again, I don't know, right? But just if you just try to go off what we know about our own bodies and about other animals, like a gorilla, you can look up a gorilla's anatomy, right, and see how it's similar yet different than the human beings. So we just
and look at how close we are genetically. And chimpanzees.
You know what I just find really interesting, the drawing, like yours and the earlier two that you showed with the Bigfoot, how different but yet how alike they are.
Yes.
So I mean it really leads me to like maybe there's people, different races of people. So maybe there's different races of Bigfoot, and
I do think there's some that are more closely related to us, but I do also think that there's some that are like super hybrids like that.
Yeah.
I think there's all kinds of varieties out there. I don't think you can lay a blanket over these creatures and say they're all this or they're all that. I mean, obviously, just from the witness I've worked with, they run the gamut of, and I think there's really good ones that are intent on just living their lives and staying out of our way. And then and it will even help you, in an emergency. And then there's also those that are really bad and evil. I mean, just like human beings, we've got really great human beings, and you've got really evil human beings.
And again, I believe that. I always say that about any of the cryptids. I'm really not Dogman. I've never heard anything warm and beautiful about Dogman, right? We've heard good stories about Bigfoot and some Sasquatch, and you can go either way on that. I think that again, there's so many different varieties of certain things. Barton's in here, and he's the Inhumanoid guy, and again, he's got a great show, and I follow a lot of his theories and concepts. And I also believe in my own personal side, I think I think some of them are of an ancient race, an ancient people that are like flesh and blood type. But I also believe some of them are not what they're cracked up to be. I think they got paranormal, supernatural elements. There's so many different things that's undiscovered in the forests that we just don't know. Those of us have different experiences across the board, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And they're all different, yet a lot of them though, which is really the cool thing about all of these, lot of common elements as well with all this stuff.
Mhm.
But that's why I find it extremely fascinating. To every story I get, everybody I talk to, a lot of them are similar yet different, and everybody's
Sure.
entitled to what they believe. I tell you, if that's why I don't really call this Bigfoot. Okay, if I never would have seen what happened after, I say, oh yeah, definitely Bigfoot, right? But to do that, but do I know that other ones don't do this? We just never
Mhm.
experienced it. We don't know, right?
Right.
I mean, I
You
don't
don't
know.
know.
I'll just say I don't
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
but that's why it's
And,
fascinating
and, it,
topic.
and there's probably so many people who, I mean, there may be a lot of people out there that have experienced this phenomenon, and they're too afraid to come and talk about
Sure.
it. And maybe this show will
Yeah.
help. You know, people see
Yeah,
this
well,
show.
Sure.
it's certainly one of the things behind this show, and I know the girls with their paranormal. Now the girls have had their own encounters with Bigfoot, and
Mhm.
so and then Tex, of course. So yeah, we just try to present what we present, right? And people can roll with it and formulate their own opinions. But I do say this: unless you've, it's hard to explain this to people, even people that like my family. They know and believe what I
Mhm.
seen and what I saw. But until you talk to people that had seen something, not necessarily mine, just say a Bigfoot you saw, or you saw a dog man, a mothman, a lizard man, goat man, whatever. Until you've actually seen it, you can't
Right.
fully, you can't change anyone's opinion until it happens to them, which
Mhm.
I don't try to do anymore, anyways.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I've worked with a
So
lot of researchers who didn't believe in eye glow. You know, like, oh
mm,
no, you're just seeing reflective. Like, nope. Nobody was shining a flashlight that night. And those were white glowing eyes, in the
Mhm.
woods. It was two of them and they blinked and
oh yeah,
Yeah.
so,
for sure.
for a lot of people who have never seen eye glow, they're like, nah, it doesn't make any sense for you know, a,
Sure.
a primate, or a mammal or whatever this thing is to have glowing eyes. But and I've worked with a lot of people, and then one day they're like, text me and say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I saw
Mhm.
glowing, I saw eye glow," and you're right, it wasn't reflective. But like you said, until you've actually experienced it yourself, it's really hard to. Some of this is
Yeah.
hard to believe, and I understand how difficult it is to wrap your head around. I mean, even your creature with its mouth open and the teeth being the way they are, and its face all distorted, and the color of its skin changed. I understand how difficult that has
Mhm.
to be for some people to acknowledge that that's true. But I
Yeah.
believe you 100% that that's exactly what you saw.
Oh yeah, it's exactly what I
Mhm.
saw. Like I said, I'm finally glad that I got to show people it, and I'm glad that I found somebody with your brilliant talents to
Yeah.
put this to life the best we can, just like you do everybody else's, Sybilla.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's why I appreciate you. You do a great job. I'm very glad that I met you,
Absolutely.
and we're friends and stuff
Good.
like that. And it's just been a
Good.
fantastic show. And I thought we might go longer, but we got it all in pretty good today.
We did. This has
You
been
know,
fantastic.
Mm.
before we go, Sybilla, I got really quickly though. I'm going to give a quick shout out before we move on here. And once again, Sherry Griffey, thank you for becoming a pirate, BMR pirate. R. Cynthia Price for the 5 memberships. R. Shade Viking, Be Kind, and Barton for the awesome super chats. I do appreciate that. And Sybilla, where can people that want to get in touch with you? Because Sybilla does have a couple YouTube channels, and she's been on many shows and tells some
Mhm.
stories. So where can we all other people find you if they'd like to?
You can go to YouTube and watch Sketching Encounters, where you actually get to see the witnesses tell their story themselves, like the witnesses that are willing to go on camera and tell their stories. And I love listening to watching witnesses tell their story, and then you get to see the artwork that we've created together at Sketching Encounters. And then if they need to, if anybody out there has had a close encounter and they would love to have a sketch done, they can reach me at SybillaIrwin.com. There's just go to the contact portion and just hit that, and it'll write me an email and I'll get it and I'll contact you and then we can go to work. I'm a little backed up right now with sketches because I have quite a few
Oh yeah. Well,
in the queue that I need to do. I need to catch up on. Need
well,
to. I'll be
no,
finishing Matt Imsh's I don't know. I may even upload that tonight or tomorrow, and then I'm going to record Michael Bluler and get his story out there with
Cool.
his sketches.
and I can attest to how busy Sybilla is because I met you 2 years ago. I think it was right, probably 2 years, and 2 years later, from us meeting, we finally got this done, right? So it is a work in
Well,
progress.
we
Not that
kept
we didn't work
texting.
on it for 2. We're like
No.
we always had something come up. It was mostly me, you know, not forgetting I asked Chris. I just I'm terrible at scheduling. Well, I actually schedule most of the shows pretty well, but Krista pulls me in line with the
course.
scheduling.
Cha-ching. Yep.
Yeah,
to.
there we
Yeah,
go.
it'll take.
Yeah.
It sometimes takes me a while to get to things, but just if you'll be patient with me, like Rob has been patient with me, and Matt Inch
Yeah.
and Michael.
Well, you've been
Bluler.
patient with me and JoJo 2018 June 15th to answer your question. Yeah. No, you've been patient with me as well. You're more patient with me because we tried getting this started way long time ago. I'm like, yeah, you finally ready? You're like, well, it's been 2 years. Let's do it.
Well, I'm glad we got it done because from the time that I heard of your encounter, I really, really wanted to see what your guy looked like. I really
Oh,
did
yeah.
because you tried to describe it, and I've worked with another witness that had some kids who saw one, and its jaw was like really, really swollen, like it either had an abscess or like something happened to it, and its jaw was so swollen that its bottom teeth, like its mouth was closed, but its bottom teeth were revealed because this part was so swollen. But but your face, like when you started to describe your face, I'm like, man, I really want to do that sketch, and I really want to try to capture that demonic thing that you saw, because I had not started working with Mike Bluler at that time, so you were the first person that I'd ever heard say that.
Yes, and why again? I can't thank you enough for bringing mine pretty much to life. It's fantastic, and I know a lot of people. There's a lot of newer people I see in the chat, and I know that we're growing a little bit here. I'm deciding to maybe I might do a video about my encounter to have it because you can't find it. I can't find my encounter story on my channel, so I'm gonna make a link. I might do a show just for a video for everybody, but I'm not gonna do it just yet because I'm gonna be on Bart Nunnally's show in 2 weeks on Wednesday. Well, we'll probably talk a lot about the encounter. So Bart,
I actually think it's next week, isn't it?
well,
Not
next week
tomorrow,
I'll
but
be on
next
Bart's.
Wednesday.
We'll be talking a lot of creepy stuff, probably my
Yep.
encounter, a few other things, maybe some stuff that's in my book too, and talk about inhumanoids a little bit. But I want to thank you, Sybilla, once again for coming on because I've been waiting for this 5 years in a wait, and you did it justice. Of course, I'm paying her a compliment. And she fires, we lose.
Right.
But it was a great show, Krista. Thank you for everybody for coming on in. Once again, thanks to everybody for the donations, the super chats, the pirates. If you do buy my book, please leave a link. Subscribe to the Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast, Inhumanoids with Bart Nunnally. I see my buddy Duke Sullivan, World Bigfoot Radios in chat. Subscribe to him. Texas Front Porch. Of course, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, and Sybilla's coming back. We will get her on here one last time. And here, there you are. Yeah, get you back one last time.
Well,
I said how great you were.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to tell you, whenever you do your story, be sure and use your sketches.
That's
agreed.
Yeah, from now on, yes, I will.
Yes,
well,
they're yours to use, of course.
Of course I will, if I can figure out how to do that. I don't know. But yes, for sure. Now that it's public, now that the picture is public, the renditions are public. Again, fascinating. Well, not fantastic job, I should say. So tonight's Tuesday, Wednesday, Diva Dimension with Tex. Thursday, you got anything do you remember what you got going on Thursday?
I have Anna Jones. She's a friend who she had a near-death encounter, And then she also
Wow.
researches at the Land Between the Lakes. She's part of Brotherhood of the Wolf. So
Oh, yes.
she's going to come on, and as well as Bart and Letitia are going to come on the show
Well,
too.
that'd be a great show. And I got that afternoon before you go on. I've got
Yep.
I don't know what the topic's going to be, but a guy that I really like, pretty good friend, Sir Brian Bowden is going to come
Oh,
on.
I like
We're
Brian.
going to talk. I think we're going to
Mhm.
get in some. We're going to get into everything. When he's on, we talk about UFOs, aliens, Bigfoot,
Oh yeah,
Dogman.
all
So
of
it's,
it.
it's kind of a smorgasbord of high strangeness. This Thursday at 1. So yes,
Yep, Brian's awesome.
yeah, he's a great guy. And with that being said, for Krista,
Hmm.
for Sybilla, I am of course BMR. Until next time, thank you.
Thank you.